After a night of indulgence, I took full advantage of the abstinent CEO. When he woke up, I pretended not to know him and bolted. On my way out, I accepted an offer for a dating show, hoping to make one last attempt at my career. If I didn't succeed, I'd quit the entertainment industry and return to farming. On the show's first day, the singer who had been laughing and chatting with me the night before mysteriously went missing. The CEO I had left in the hotel took his place, stepping straight into the show. My agent, scared out of their mind, sent me a new gossip screenshot. Dean Mason, CEO of Mason Group, makes his reality show debut. The Golden Boy enters the entertainment industry for love. Reading that enormous headline, I nearly passed out. For love, huh? But the love in question wasn't for me. It was for another female guest on the show, Alyssa Riley. They were classmates, rivals, evenly matched. And I, Ashley Hall, was the villain who had tarnished Dean's reputation. Chapter 1. Dean Mason rarely made public appearances and spent most of his time abroad, avoiding interviews whenever possible. This time, his sudden appearance on the dating show completely caught everyone off guard. All the lights, cameras, and recording equipment were immediately focused on Dean. As for me, a minor celebrity with zero presence, I was stuck in a corner, blocked by Dean's bodyguards in front, with the production team bustling around him in the back, having an emergency meeting. I was sandwiched between them, nervously answering my agent Leah's call. Ashley, John Harris can't make it. Dean replaced him. He's also added a significant amount of money to the show. Be careful not to offend him, or he could easily ruin your career. I turned and glimpsed through the crowd at Dean, who was adjusting his microphone. Tall, composed, and slender, he could easily pass for a male model. It's too late, I muttered into the phone. Too late for what? Leah asked, her voice rising in confusion. I've already offended him. Leah's sharp gasp echoed from the other side of the line. I quickly hung up and head down, tried to sneak out along the edges of the crowd. Someone stepped in front of me and politely addressed me as Miss Ashley. I looked up to find a young man I didn't recognize, a faint smile on his face. I'm Mr. Mason's assistant. He asked me to give this to you. The man handed me a delicate jewelry box, then stepped aside to let me pass. He gestured for me to go ahead, and I, feeling like a thief, slipped into a quiet corner to open the box. Inside, there was half a pair of earrings, nothing fancy, and one of the corners was even broken. When I saw it, I slammed the box shut with a snap. It was the earring I had lost a few days ago, and it was the one I had lost in Dean's bed. I'm finished. Dean's really going to crush me with a single finger. Chapter 2. Dean and I could be considered old friends. Of course, that's just how I see it. Because in Dean's eyes, the one who took care of him for 2 years should have been my half-sister, Martina. I met Dean when he had just been in a car accident. Not only had he broken his leg, but a blood clot was pressing on his optic nerve, and there was a high chance he would be permanently blinded. At that time, I still hadn't changed my surname and was called Ashley. I happened to be staying at Alyssa's house, and our 2 villas were not far apart. From my window, I often saw the nanny pushing Dean out for a walk. Over time, I became familiar with Dean. Back then, Dean was confined to a wheelchair. The young genius had fallen from grace, and he became so irritable and difficult that no one could last more than a month taking care of him before they gave up and left. I had spent years in the countryside taking care of my sick grandparents and raising a dog that snarled at everyone. No matter how fierce Dean was, he couldn't compare to that dog. At first, Dean and I would each sunbathe separately on the lawn. Gradually, we got closer. I'd help him with his rehabilitation, talk to him about the ripening rice, sprouting potatoes, and growing wheat. During those dark times, when his parents were fighting and neither wanted to accept their disabled son, I stayed by his side. Soon after his leg recovered, his grandfather took him abroad. We parted ways hastily and never saw each other again. The next time I heard about Dean, his vision had fully recovered, and with his grandfather's support, he had joined the family business. In the end, Dean and I were from 2 different worlds. Staying at Alyssa's house to finish my studies had already been a stroke of luck for me. Alyssa gave me a large sum of money to keep the secret of my time caring for Dean. She was the true daughter of the Riley family, and she and Dean belonged to the same world. I, on the other hand, was just a child left behind in the countryside before her father became successful. Raising me until I was 18 was already more than enough. Alyssa had wanted to impersonate me, using the fact that I cared for Dean to climb the social ladder and get close to the Mason family. And me at that time, I desperately needed that money. Compared to the untouchable Dean, I chose the tangible money. I heard later that Martina changed her name to Amelia Lewis and went abroad to pursue Dean. But for some reason, she didn't succeed. Afterward, another woman appeared by Dean's side, Alyssa Riley. She was his fellow student, a master cellist who had held 7 consecutive concerts after returning to the country, becoming a popular musician. She and Dean seemed like a perfect match. As for me, I should have had nothing to do with Dean anymore. But unfortunately, a few days ago, on Dean's first day back in the country, I ended up sleeping with him. I had drunk too much at a class reunion. Seeing they were still drinking, I, barely able to walk, found an excuse to leave early. When the elevator door opened, I saw Dean. Heaven knows, I thought it was a large poster, and I rushed up to touch Dean's chest. Then I blacked out. I vaguely remember someone tying my wrists with a tie and making me call his name. When I woke up, the morning light was dim, and Dean, still sleepy, was lying beside me, his neck and back marked with ambiguous scratches. Reason gradually returned, but my memory was fragmented from the alcohol. I panicked and decided to run away, just like I had done years ago after taking full advantage. But I forgot one thing. Back then, Dean had been blind. Chapter 3. I threw the earring Dean's assistant gave me into the trash. After a brief 3-second moment of silence for the trash can, I called Leah again, asking how much I would have to pay if I quit the dating show midway. Leah paused for a moment before quoting a penalty fee that seemed astronomical to me. In short, I'd end up working for the next 2 years without pay, and still be left with a massive debt. Ashley, what's going on with you? This dating show is your last chance. Pull yourself together, Leah said, her voice urgent. What's going on? Well, the reason is simple. I don't dare face Dean. To Dean, I'm just a stranger who showed up out of nowhere. He probably thinks I'm a woman trying to sabotage his relationship with Alyssa and climb up the social ladder by any means. That earring was his first warning to me. Dean was telling me to stay away from him. I've seen through it all, and my heart is colder than a fishmonger in a supermarket. Since I couldn't back out midway, my only option was to avoid Dean whenever I saw him. Leah was quick to act, swiftly setting me up with a new pairing for the show, a university professor named Henry Clark. Leah said he was funny, knowledgeable, and most importantly, he was my fan. I, a practically unknown celebrity, actually had such a high-quality fan. Leah's words almost made me tear up. When the official recording began, the first segment involved a blind room selection for the male and female guests, where we'd exchange gifts and attempt to break the ice. It was like opening a blind box, but for the audience. Leah had already tipped me off, so I stood in front of room number 3. As expected, when I opened the door, I would find Henry. I took a deep breath, posed for the cameraman, and confidently pushed open the door. Then, I saw Dean sitting leisurely on the sofa, his legs crossed, his eyebrows slightly arched, and his gaze fixed directly on me. Hello, I'm Dean. Hello, I'm Ashley. Chapter 4. I glanced at the number 3 on the door. Then I looked at the composed Dean. Bracing myself, I sat down across from him. Surrounded by a sea of staff, I pretended to stay calm. After exchanging a few polite words with Dean, as if we were strangers, I opened my gift box with a polite smile. Inside was a silk tie that I had specially chosen for Henry. Dean's gaze swept over the tie, then landed on my wrist. His obscure look made my heart tremble, but I couldn't show any reaction on camera. The tie wasn't really Dean's style, but he graciously thanked me and said he would treasure it. The word treasure carried an inexplicable ambiguity. I didn't dare think too much about it. I took the sleep-inducing scented candle Dean gave me and praised it. Dean was a man of few words, and no one dared to rush him. The director signaled for me to provide more material for editing. I've been having trouble sleeping lately. This scent is perfect for me, I said, trying to make conversation. Moderate exercise can help with sleep, Dean replied, closing the tie box. I have a habit of morning runs. If you're interested, we can run together. Oh boy, this isn't the time when you were in a wheelchair, is it? I gritted my teeth inwardly. Outwardly, I agreed cheerfully. Sure, I should exercise more. I endured over an hour in room number 3 before the director finally announced the next segment. Relieved, I immediately stood up and left to find Henry in the hall. Henry had arrived earlier than me. He was also puzzled by the room mix-up, but when we made eye contact, he suddenly smiled. What's so funny? Do I have lipstick on my teeth? I asked. Meeting my idol, it's hard not to smile, Henry said. I sat next to him, greeted the other guests, and everyone left the seat next to Alyssa open for Dean, who hadn't arrived yet. Alyssa, Dean's fellow student, spoke even less than he did. Sitting at the edge, she looked like morning dew, cold and distant. Recently, I had opened an account on a short video platform, uploading videos of my gardening. Henry was very interested in them. As we chatted excitedly, a slightly indifferent voice interrupted us. Sis, I've seen those videos too. I turned and saw Alyssa, her chin resting on her hand, her voice cold. But her brown eyes held a glimmer of hope, like a cat waiting to be petted. Things were starting to take an interesting turn. In this dating show, which aired while still being recorded, the first CP couple pairing to go viral was Alyssa and me. At first, the comments were full of people accusing me of being a third wheel, disrupting Dean and Alyssa's dynamic. I was terrified, too afraid to respond. But then Alyssa casually called me sis in behind-the-scenes footage, and that sent us to the top of the trending list. The genius cellist was brought down from her pedestal, her million-dollar insured hands now holding mud with me. Overnight, my comment section exploded, becoming a battlefield for CP fans. Who understands? She called her sis. I don't call my friends sis. They're real, I swear. I'm the mud they molded with their hands. Can they kiss for me, please? I might be fake, but the Starash CP is definitely real. Starash CP. What a strange name. My eyelids twitched, and I flipped my phone over on the bed. The show was to be recorded for 24 days. On the first day, I helped Alyssa plant a few cabbages in a pot, and that was edited into the first episode's highlights. Leah told me to seize this opportunity. My future could depend on it. So I got up early, planning to check on the cabbages. But just as I finished washing up and was heading toward the balcony, I bumped into Dean. Morning, I greeted awkwardly, worried that he might be here to cause trouble. Dean ignored my caution and said, "Let's go." "Ah, where to?" I asked, confused. Chapter 5. Morning Run. Seriously? I was just being polite. And you're taking it seriously? Dean, who was busy with work, had been squeezing time for the recordings. Today, he finally had some free time and actually came to find me to go for a morning run. You really? Keep your word. I suppressed my frustration, gave Dean a thumbs up, and followed him out of the villa. Not far from the villa was an artificial lake, with a smooth, clean running track around it. The morning breeze was refreshing. Dean, dressed in sportswear, looked as pure as when I first met him, his long legs making my head spin. I jogged intermittently, and Dean matched my pace, asking if I had used the scented candle. I hadn't, but I couldn't let Dean down. I plan to keep it as a memento, I said seriously. It's a consumable. You should use it. Dean stopped, blocking my path. The morning sunlight was blocked by Dean, and at such a close distance, I could smell the fresh scent of his body wash. Damn, it seemed to be the same body wash I had smelled the night we reunited. My ears instantly burned, and I wanted to step back. Dean reacted even faster, tying my hair into a ponytail. His movements were a bit clumsy but gentle. It's better to tie your hair when running. You carry hair ties with you? A CEO should be wearing a fancy watch, right? Personal habit. What a strange habit. What an unconventional CEO. He recognized me as the one who drunkenly pushed him down that night. Yet he could still get along with me so harmoniously. And from the past 3 days of recording, I noticed that Dean and Alyssa's relationship wasn't, as the rumors suggested, a perfect match. Whenever these two met, there was always awkward silence, and when they spoke, they bickered. Alyssa spoke slowly, her words coming out in fragments. Whenever we recorded cooking segments, I, the only one who could cook, would always find myself caught between Alyssa and Dean. I chopped vegetables, Alyssa handed me the knife. I stir-fried, Dean poured the oil. I sent a desperate look to Leah, who was visiting, and she quickly typed a string of words on her phone. My phone lit up with a message from Leah. Getting along well is more important than anything. I got distracted for a moment, and 2 drops of oil splashed onto my hand. Sis, rinse it. Alyssa pulled my hand under the faucet, while Dean missed his chance to grab it. As I wiped the water off my hand, Alyssa said to Dean, "Adding so much oil, you're in the way." Chapter 6. Fortunately, such bickering and friction wouldn't make it into the final cut. Thanks to this dating show, my gardening videos gradually gained more views, and the little cabbages Alyssa and I planted finally sprouted. The cameraman kindly filmed a close-up of the cabbages before turning to the guests as they selected their dates. In the mutual selection, under Dean's determined gaze, I wisely chose Henry, leaving Dean for Alyssa. But for some reason, when I got up to walk toward Henry, Dean's expression suddenly stiffened, and it looked like he clenched his back teeth. Henry flipped his card, and sure enough, it had my name written on it. Henry and I were sent to an art gallery where people came and went. Henry was eager, explaining every painting, every brushstroke, every color block as if he knew them by heart. I did my best to focus, trying to absorb the meanings behind the paintings, but it felt like I was tackling a difficult reading comprehension test. During a break in the recording, avoiding the cameras, Henry asked if I wasn't interested in art. "I don't get it," I answered honestly. "You don't get it? But didn't you play a painter?" Henry looked shocked. "That was just a script and a role. I only needed to memorize lines and act how the director wanted. I haven't seen much of the world. If this were a vegetable garden, I'd probably have something to talk about with you." In that instant, Henry's idealized view of me and his innocent crush both shattered with a pop. I apologized to Henry, who forced a smile, saying I acted well. I knew our story ended there. The visit to the gallery didn't create great results. Worse than Henry and me were Dean and Alyssa, who had been paired together by default. Everyone had thought this pairing would be a hit, but no spark was generated, and the editing team had to fill in with a long post-interview segment. Late at night, I was dragged out for the post-interview. My eyelids were heavy, and my brain too sluggish to function properly. I answered questions mechanically, from ideal boyfriends to marriage standards, from preferred looks to attractive personalities. I answered as sincerely as I could, only for the interviewer to say, "It feels like Ashley is describing Mr. Mason." My mind snapped to attention, and I awkwardly replied, "I prefer talkative people." The interviewer chuckled and handed me a dare card. I randomly drew one, which instructed me to send 5 embarrassing photos from my youth to the production team for meme creation. Really? I'm still young, full of life. To finish the interview quickly, I agreed. Returning to my room, I started scrolling through my cloud storage for old photos. As I scrolled down, I opened a long-forgotten folder and immediately saw the only photo of Dean and me. Back then, Dean was still in a wheelchair, his vision not yet restored. I had pushed him to play snowball fights with a group of kids. I made the snowballs, handed them to him, and pushed him as he wildly threw them in every direction. By the end, my hands were red and numb from the cold, and I was exhausted, sitting in the snow, leaning against his wheelchair, panting. I opened the photo. I was smiling brightly, and Dean had a small smile, even making a peace sign, though he had no idea where the camera was. I focused on Dean's hand, enlarging the photo. His long, clean fingers seemed almost devoid of warmth in the snow, and on his exposed wrist, there was a hair tie. In an instant, all my thoughts flashed together. I remembered something. I often lost hair ties, so I used to put the spare ones on Dean's wrist for convenience. So Dean's habit of wearing hair ties instead of a watch. Was that my doing? Nightfall was deepening, and I shook my head, trying not to overthink. I randomly picked a few less embarrassing photos and sent them to the production team. Sleepiness returned, and I was about to go back to bed when a soft knock came at the door. Grumbling, I went to open it, and Dean's shadow immediately loomed over me. "Mr. Mason." I felt a chill run down my spine. Dean's dark eyes, in the most casual tone, delivered the most startling words. "You said you like talkative people? Then why did you keep telling me to shut up that night?" That night. I opened and closed my mouth several times, finally forcing out a stiff, awkward smile. Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Chapter 7. Why did you choose Henry for the date? Why have you been avoiding me and threw away the earring? Why do you always favor Alyssa? Just because she calls you sis? I can call you that too. Sis. Dean advanced step by step, and I retreated until I fell onto the bed. Dean closed the door behind him, and I looked up at him, swallowing hard before finding my voice. "There's no need to call me sis. I prefer the way you were before, rebellious and unruly." Dean leaned down, asking what kind I liked. I pressed my hand against his chest, gritting my teeth, telling him the room had cameras, and though I had covered them, they would still record sound. This audio would be enough to ruin me. I was on the verge of tears, and Dean grabbed my hand. I had them cut off. There's nothing worth filming at night anyway. The warm light from the bedside lamp didn't blur Dean's features, but made him look even more handsome. Our fingers intertwined, and I couldn't break free. "Mr. Mason, I can explain." Dean laughed, a deep sound that seemed to come from his chest, interrupting me. "You call others by their names, but for me, it's just Mr. Mason." I was speechless. This guy, his points of anger were quite unique. That night, I was really drunk. "I mistook you for a poster and touched you," I continued to explain. "And 4 years ago, were you drunk then? I remember we didn't drink that time." 4 years ago, I wasn't drunk. 4 years ago, it was a moment of passion. But when I woke up and saw the message from his grandfather urging him to go abroad, my thoughts became clear. Dean and I were like intersecting lines, briefly entangled at one point before parting ways. So I chose to run away. "Wait," Dean said. 4 years ago?" My eyes widened and I almost bit my tongue. Dean, enjoying my shocked expression, slowly said, "Ashley, this is the second time you've run away." Chapter 8. Dean spent a year abroad treating his eyes, and the rest of the time fighting for power in the Mason Group against his father. Fortunately, with his grandfather's support and his own efforts, he gradually gained control. Shortly after Dean went abroad, I graduated from college. My grandparents' health deteriorated, and I was exhausted from balancing work and caring for them. Even with the money Alyssa gave me, I couldn't save my grandmother. Within 3 months, I lost both grandparents, becoming truly homeless. After the funerals, I changed my last name, dropping Riley and taking my grandfather's surname, becoming Ashley Megan, and moved to a distant city. On my birthday that year, I ordered a bowl of longevity noodles at a noodle shop, crying and hiccuping as I ate. Then a talent scout discovered me, saying I looked great on camera when crying, and I ended up signing with Leah by chance. At that time, Leah was a rookie agent, and we drank ourselves sick for a bit of resource, escaping the clutches of shady deals. Until Leah's second artist unexpectedly won an award, her value skyrocketed, leaving me still struggling on the fringes of the industry. Leah got busier, but never forgot our promise to stick together through thick and thin. This dating show was a resource she forced on me. Meeting Dean here was beyond our expectations. Now, with Dean pinning me to the bed, the cold and noble new CEO of Mason Group demanded an explanation. I bit my lip, avoiding Dean's scorching gaze. I had run away twice without a word, and I didn't know what to say. We were at an impasse when Dean buried his head in my neck. Dean nuzzled my neck, speaking in a muffled voice. "Ashley, comfort me. I'm easy to comfort." Chapter 9. Dean was indeed easy to comfort. I just patted his back and called him Dean, and all his jealousy and stubbornness melted away. Dean's time abroad wasn't easy either. As soon as he joined the company, all eyes were on him, and he couldn't make a single mistake. At that time, an intern repeatedly staged coincidental encounters with him, even spilling coffee on him. Dean, fed up, was about to have her fired when she tearfully called him Dean. "Dean, it's me, Ashley." Dean was stunned for a moment before asking, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" He was blind, not brain dead, and could still recognize voices. At that time, Dean was searching for me in the country, but I had moved to another city after losing my family, disappearing without a trace. It wasn't until my first web drama aired that Dean found me, but my avoidance and selling the story of caring for him to Alyssa remained a thorn in his heart. He watched my videos repeatedly, using a small account to become a fierce fan in my comment section, showering my farming videos with gifts, silently supporting me. When he finally secured his position as CEO, he returned to the country under the pretext of expanding the company's market. The day Dean returned, I was being pressured to drink at a class reunion. He couldn't resist, and after getting my whereabouts, he rushed over, only to be hugged by me. In our tearful reunion, I cried, saying I missed him. That one sentence shattered Dean's defenses. The result was a wild night, and the next morning, I blacked out and sneaked away while Dean slept. I couldn't face Dean. I felt guilty towards him. Dean said he woke up to an empty room and almost chewed the bed in frustration. I ran, he chased. I joined a dating show, he invested in the production. As for Alyssa Riley, it was purely coincidental. Though they were fellow students, they had different philosophies and genuinely disliked each other. The headline Golden Boy Ventures into Entertainment for Love was indeed about me. The formula was right, but the data was wrong. I only solved the puzzle now. Chapter 10. Dean held me silently, his arm around my waist. After a long silence, I apologized. I had liked Dean since he didn't even know what I looked like. But I was a coward, not believing anyone would choose me among several options. Just like my so-called father abandoned me for a happier family and a more beloved daughter, and my mother left without a word after giving birth, leaving me with my grandparents, never to return. I was always the one left behind. So I loved farming. The solid ground wouldn't deceive me. I grew up rolling in the mud, learning early to avoid hurt by running away. The only thing I didn't run from was caring for my grandparents. But in the end, I was the one who sent them off. Dean lightly bit my shoulder. At first, I almost resented you. But then I realized loving you was better. I couldn't go against my heart. Dean paused before continuing. Ashley, don't run anymore. I'll always choose you. I turned around, curling into Dean's arms, and said, okay. Before dawn, I sent Dean back to his room, fearing the scandal if he was seen leaving mine. After reconciling with Dean, our chemistry was undeniable, and we chose each other for the next 2 dates. The production team seemed to have planned it, sending us to an art exhibition for the second date. Faced with incomprehensible art, I was at a loss. Before entering, I quietly told Dean I hadn't seen much of the world and asked him not to talk about deep, obscure art theories. Dean looked down, his long lashes casting shadows. But you knew when potatoes sprout, when wheat heads, how to compost and thin seedlings. If not for you, I wouldn't know what an apple tree looks like or the intricacies of growing corn. You showed me so much of the world. Now let's go in together and see the world of artists, okay? Dean's words hit me deeply. The wind was chilly, and Dean squeezed my hand, putting it in his coat pocket, leading me into the gallery. Dean's words were recorded and made it into the preview, creating the highest ratings for the show. Leah's prediction came true. My comment section was flooded again, filled with, "You three should just live happily together. Why isn't a family of 3 a happy ending? Ashley farming while starting a family?" Clearly the 3 referred to me, Alyssa and Dean. The CP I wanted to avoid became a chaotic mix. I gave up. The cabbages Alyssa and I planted grew well, becoming a timer for the show. The cabbage leaves grew larger, and after recording, I occasionally checked for pests, with Alyssa quietly watching. She still spoke little, but after I finished checking, she called me sis. What's wrong? When the show ends, we'll part ways. You can still contact me after the show. Alyssa shook her head. Sis, I was wrong. You're not like her. Who? Dean. Alyssa leaned in and whispered a long sentence. It was the first time she spoke so much. Chapter 11. The 24-day recording finally came to an end. I harvested the cabbages and made soup. On the last night, after a long confession session with all 10 guests, we exchanged farewell gifts under the crew's watchful eyes. This time, we could choose who to give our gifts to. Having messed up with the tie last time, I chose Dean. A thick photo album, recording every moment with him. As expected, Dean's lips curved as he opened the cover. The first page was a photo from our snowball fight. Dean's fingers brushed the photo before closing the album. I waited for him to give me a gift, but he did nothing. Seeing my confusion, Dean sighed. I already gave you the gift. Lies, blatant lies. When did you give it to me? I asked. Dean raised an eyebrow, went to my room, and retrieved the scented candle he gave me on the first day. The candle, still intact, was lit, and as the wax melted, a ring appeared. I put it on top, fearing you wouldn't find it, but you never used it. Dean cleaned the ring and slipped it onto my finger. Though the show is over, I want to be with you forever. I loved the crew's reaction. Huh. Amidst the chorus of huh, I covered my mouth in shock. Great, we had plenty of material now. After the final post-interview, I received a call from Leah. Leah asked if I needed her to pick me up. I hesitated and said, no, someone will be with me. This time, I learned to wait for Dean. Ashley, are you really falling for him? Leah asked loudly. I guess. Rekindling an old flame.